Good morning. My name is Gail Stevenson, and I serve as Treasurer of the Board of Trustees of the Unitarian Universalist Church of Spartanburg. Welcome to this place. We strive to be a beloved community of warmth, love, and support across all our differences. This is a welcoming congregation where everyone is welcome just as we each are. If you are visiting with us this morning, we would love to meet you to share more about the life of this congregation. Visitor cards may be found in the pocket on the back of the chair in front of you. Please feel welcome to fill one out and place it in the offering plate during the service so that we can connect with you. There is a lot happening here. Don't miss out. See or connect at the back of your worship bulletin to read about everything you can be involved in. Allow me to share a few announcements this morning. Tomorrow morning, January 20th, our congregation has multiple service projects that you can be a part of, the MLK Day of Service. See details in the Connect and join us in the morning for a day on and not a day off. Next Sunday is our annual fund kickoff. The 26th, we will launch our 2025 annual fund campaign. Please come to celebrate all the ways that we can take root to support the remarkable ministries of our congregation. There will be a party after the service, and you are invited. A celebration of Imbolc. This year we will celebrate a full cycle of earth-based rituals. On Wednesday, January 29th at 7 p.m. in the sanctuary, we will be celebrating Imbolc. The celebration will be in the Celtic tradition, honoring the Lady Saint Goddess Bree, or Bridget, is depending on how you prefer to pronounce it. The day of the spark of the fire is already much anticipated in our hearts. All are welcome. There's also a called congregational meeting to vote on the new endowment policy and procedures on Sunday, February the 9th, following the morning service. The UUCS Board of Trustees has called a congregational meeting on Sunday, February 9th, 2025, to vote on a new endowment policy and procedures. This new document has been developed by the Endowment Committee and our board through careful study and revision over the last 2 years. The purpose of this updated policy is to consolidate multiple existing policies which sometimes contradict one another and are generally in need of clarification. The new policy consolidates and streamlines all previous policies and brings our congregational policy into better alignment with the Unitarian Universalist Common Endowment Fund. Whew, that's a mouthful. That's who our endowment is invested with. Come learn about this powerful tool to provide for the long-term ministry and the life of our beloved congregation. And now I'd like to invite Joyce Harrison to come forward with an announcement about our end-of-life planning workshop on Saturday, February the 1st.
Good morning. 2 important workshops will be offered on Saturday, February the 1st. The first one, from 10 until 11:30, will be for the 5 Wishes. The 5 Wishes is a booklet that allows you to specifically spell out your end-of-life preferences. These deal with medical care, but also define what you would prefer in the way of comfort and spiritual support. Earlier this year, an emergency room doctor, upon reading one of our members' 5 wishes, declared that he wished every ER visitor would present with this booklet. He and other medical staff proceeded to follow that person's directives. We all hope to escape death, but we also know that death eventually comes for all of us. Filling out your 5 wishes when not in emotional crisis, when not in the throes of a medical emergency, is a huge relief. Our pastoral care team, headed by our ministers, feels that the 5 wishes are important, whether we're parents of young children, folks who live alone, or someone who has or expects to deal with health issues. Once notarized, the 5 Wishes becomes a legal document. And we will have a notary on hand that Saturday to notarize your booklet. Consider coming February the 1st at 10 o'clock for this important session. Child care will be provided if requested, and you can sign up today, right after church, or tomorrow or next Sunday before church. From 12:30 until 2 o'clock that same Saturday, February the 1st, we will also be offering an opportunity for you to plan your own memorial service. This too is a great opportunity. You can have it your way. You can specify the music you'd like, the readings that are meaningful to you, designate who you'd like to speak to your life experiences. You can file your service with our ministers and provide a copy for your family. This is a wonderful exercise that provides a lot of comfort and meaning for you and your loved ones. Attend one or both sessions on February the 1st, and there's no cost for either any of this. So we hope we'll see you. Thank you.
Good morning again. I'd like to add my welcome to Gail and Joyce's on this Sunday in which we are celebrating Dr. Martin Luther King. For the chalice readings this morning, I have two readings. The first is called Civil Disobedience by Transcendentalist Henry David Thoreau, who had a great influence on Dr. King. Must a citizen ever for a moment, or in least degree, resign his conscience to his legislator? Why has every person a conscience then? I think we should all be people first and subjects afterwards. It's not desirable to cultivate a respect for the law so much as the right. Let your life be a counter-friction to stop the machine. What I have to do is to see, at any rate, that I do not lend myself to the wrong that I condemn. The second reading is from Dr. King, Remaining Awake Through the Great Revolution. I became convinced that non-cooperation with evil is as much of an obligation as cooperation with good. No other person has been more eloquent and passionate in getting this idea across than Henry David Thoreau. As a result of his writings and personal witness, we are the heirs of a legacy of creative protest. The teachings of Thoreau came alive in our civil rights movement. Indeed, they are more alive now than ever, expressed in the sit-ins at lunch counters, the Freedom Ride into Mississippi, a peaceful protest in Albany, Georgia, and the bus boycott in Montgomery, Alabama. These are outgrowths of Thoreau's insistence that evil must be resisted and that no moral person can patiently adjust to injustice. Oh, okay. I thought the choir was going to sing now, but they sung. That was absolutely wonderful, and I'm glad I was able to get out of the way so that they could sing it. The Rippling Bowl is a sacred ritual to our church. Stones and shells are placed around the bowl, which represents our beloved community for how we care for one another. Everyone in the sanctuary is invited to place a stone and or a shell into it. As the ripples go out, our sorrows are lessened and our joys are enhanced. Carol will place a stone in the shell in the bowl for those watching virtually.
Far beyond the grasp of hands, or light to meet the eye, past the reaches of the mind. There find the key to nature's harmony in an architecture so entwined. Like the birds whose patterns grace the sky and carry all joy in love expanding, the message of peace will rise in flight, taking the weight of the world upon its wings. In the oneness of everything, peace is in the dance of trees that stir before the first breath of wind is yet perceived. Trust in the song becoming one with the dance, and all mysteries can be believed. Songs of years long past that touch are written in the earth, ever giving, and now to maintain the harmony gives to us all lives worth living. For the oneness of everything. Still we seek to find a truth that we might understand and reduce to terms defined. Vast and immeasurable time and space, also overwhelmingly designed. Oh, passing years, just might I know the faith that winters in the heart, to be reborn in spring, to hear and to feel the pulse of life enters my soul as a song to sing of the oneness of everything.
As Unitarian Universalists, we are freed from having to say a creed or statement of a specific belief. A while back, however, this congregation developed its own covenant through the democratic process, which beautifully expresses a promise we make to one another about how we want to build a beloved community within the church and the greater community. It is found in your order of service or on the screen if you're watching virtually. I encourage you to recite it with me. With courage we say, we are people of faith and hope. Together we covenant to strive to become our better selves, to honor both the critical mind and the generous heart, to prove that diversity need not mean divisiveness, and to respond to systems of violence and oppression with the power of a love As part of building a beloved community, we set aside a time in our Sunday services to greet one another personally. During this period, you're encouraged to stand and speak to each other. You can hug, shake hands, nod to each other, but please be mindful of everybody's personal space. You may also remain seated if you desire. Now, let the holy chaos begin. I neglected to mention that when the music starts playing, it's time to return quietly to your seats. So I'm glad that we are instinctively trained to do that.
We're teachable.
We all serve this church in many ways. Sharing our financial gifts is a vital part to the life of the congregation. It sustains this place, which is sacred to so many of us. So when the plate is passed, take it and grasp it with both hands and say your blessing, even if you're not going to give financially at this time. Each month, we share the plate with a worthy cause, which enables us to support local and global social justice programs. Half of all undesignated funds will go to this, as well as half of all undesignated funds will go to this, as well as designated funds to go to this worthy program. This month, our Share the Plate monies will go to the MLK project tomorrow, so that congregants can shop for goods which we package to distribute to homeless people in our community. So I look forward to seeing all there tomorrow morning. Now the ushers may come forward.
One man come in the name of love. One man come and go. One man come here to justify. One man to overthrow. In the name of love. One more in the name of love. In the name of love. One more in the name of love. One man caught on a barbed wire fence. One man he resists. One man washed on an empty beach. One man betrayed with a kiss. In the name of love. One more in the name of love. In the name of love. One more in the name of love. Early morning, April 4, shot rings out in a Memphis sky. Free at last, they took your life, they could not take your pride. In the name of love, one more in the name of love. In the name of love, one more in the name of love. In the name of love, one more in the name of love. In the name of love, one more in the name of love.
We are a small congregation with a lot of gifts, people with so many gifts to share. And sharing gifts is powerful because it multiplies the impact of what we all can bring, but it also puts us in the position of having to cooperate with each other, which can also mean being in conflict with each other. All kinds of friction can arise. And the constant challenge of this kind of community life is, can you take the conflict and make it positive? Can you make it productive? To think of these 4 musicians collaborating to produce the service today, and the choir, and Riley as the newest member of the choir. So, we're going to have a creative conflict here, Riley, you and me. So much giftedness and so much potential for things to become in friction. But look at the creativity that they've offered us. Can we offer them another round of applause? Today at 3 o'clock at Memorial Auditorium, just a little ways away from us, Ruby Bridges is going to speak. The things that we're going to talk about in the service today, the preparation, the discipline, the committed action, not only for self-preservation, but for social transformation, even to the benefit of one's enemies. These things that we're going to talk about this morning are things that she did as a little girl, walking into an all-white elementary school in New Orleans to integrate it. This little girl walking in by herself. This act was immortalized in a painting by Norman Rockwell. If you have a 1 sermon limit per Sunday, when we go into silence, I'm asking you to leave. Because it's what she says at 3 that you should hear today. Join me in silence. When you awoke this morning, Did you see the mist covering the landscape? We can explain why that happens. I cannot explain why that happens. But as a collective intelligence, we can explain why that happens. Why combinations of temperature changes, weather patterns, humidity in the air, why fog descends on the woodland in which we live, even in our city, this woodland in which we live. We can rationally explain it, and there is great power and wisdom in doing that. And also, it is so beautiful, so mysterious to see the world covered in that mystery. The way that the beauty of the trees changes through the thickness of the air. The way the whole world morphs and quiets in that fog. The experience of wonder is an experience that takes us through all that we know and understand of the world and that which we try to learn, try to study, that which we have yet to discover, and pulls us through all of that knowledge and the wisdom it offers us into something more. And also a beauty and mystery that connects us with this cosmos of which we are one part. And we can feel this in our bodies. We can feel it in ourselves. The way that our cognition and our emotion move and expand beyond our physical frame. We feel that connection with everything around us. The oneness of everything, of which Erin has already sung today. The holy heart of things, which we will sing together in just a few moments. We may have all kinds of names for it, ways of philosophizing or theologizing what this experience is. Poetry that tries to articulate this experience, and none of the words can keep up. That beauty that is so deep within us and outside of us, that connects us and expands us as part of this beautiful world. And the thing about that experience, that beauty of our existence in an interconnected world beyond our understanding, is that it profoundly undermines all other authorities. When Ralph Waldo Emerson stood in the chapel at Harvard Divinity School and offered his Divinity School address, he spoke in poetry about this experience, connects all of us with the wider world. He talked about his longing for those people sitting in front of him, young seminary students about to graduate and to go into parish ministry to serve congregations throughout New England and maybe beyond, for their preaching to evoke this kind of direct experience and not to hide in straightforward scholarly exegesis of Scripture. He wanted them to speak the sacred text of the world, not just the sacred text of an inherited tradition. And he got in a lot of trouble for saying this. Because what he was saying was the whole world is holy. The whole world is sacred. And you don't have to know any particular language to connect with that. And no teacher, no professor, no minister need mediate that for you or interpret it for you. They might offer wisdom that can be of support to you, but what matters is your experience of the world, your awareness of your connectedness to all things, and the power with which that fills you. All of our wisdom traditions, which Emerson loved and urged these ministers to work with, all of them are in support of you and that experience. Now, this isn't anarchy. This isn't relativism. This isn't lack of authority, but it is undermining of institutional authority and hierarchical authority to place the responsibility for life and the authority for discerning our way in life in us. That we are the authority for finding our life, our purpose in this wider world. This created a huge controversy. Emerson had already left his pastorate as a Unitarian minister. Some of the students who sat there listening to him did go on into ministry and began to preach this doctrine of transcendentalism that Emerson was sharing, and they got in a bunch of trouble. Many of them got attacked by their professors for going out and doing this radical thing. The tradition in which we are sitting today, whether we identify with it or not, the tradition that holds us in this space today, was very offended and upset by this teaching and actively tried to shut it down. But guess what happened? Did anybody here feel offended when I said you're connected with the cosmos? Anybody here want to throw me out of this role that you're having to suffer through right now? When I said that you have authority within yourself and the power to choose in your life your purpose. Anybody upset by that? Right. These people changed us. They changed us with their insight and the courage of what they had to say. Not throwing away the richness of tradition, but realigning it with the primacy of our lives and the deep wisdom inherent in our lives to discern our place in all creation and the good that we can do in it. Claiming our authority as good beings in the world to make goodness real here. Transforming our spiritual movement into something more authentic, deeper, more personal, and powerfully transformative in the world. One of Emerson's friends and colleagues, students, and sometimes competitor, Henry David Thoreau, is known to many of us for his year of living simply on the shores of Walden Pond, for his beautiful writings about his journeys throughout New England, his love of natural science, of botany and geology, and the way he draws spiritual wisdom from traditions all around the world, from the Vedas and from the Bible, from all of these sources, to express in what is really a kind of psalmic language, singing praises to all creation and his place in it. He's known to us as a poet of the natural world. And in that wonder and beauty, that sense of deep connectedness with the cosmos that Thoreau sings to us in his enchanted prose, he decided not to pay his taxes. Parenthesis, I'm not telling you to not pay your taxes. Because there will be consequences, as Thoreau himself discovered. But in this undermining of authority that comes from realizing the power that is within us, that connects us with something much greater than us, not a narcissistic power, but a power of expansion and of care for the whole world, Thoreau decided that he could not provide his, parenthesis, very meager financial support to the United States government because it had prosecuted a war of imperialism, the Mexican-American War, just following Texas's statehood And the underlying concern here is not only the expansion of the country through violent means, but that this expansion of the country meant also the expansion of the peculiar institution of enslavement in our country. And when you experience your deep connectedness to the wonder of creation, the power within you to shape your life, you also realize that's not just for you. It is for you. And it is for you. And it is for you. And it is for you. It's for you. It's for every one of us. Each of us a wonder of this living world. Equal. And anything that would presume to place one person higher than another, to take from one person to their detriment and the benefit of another, is out of order. It's out of cosmic order. And no government, no religion, no majority of preachers in the pre-Civil War United States who advocated for slavery on the basis of its presence in the biblical text, none of those people have the authority to tell us that it's okay. And so, in objection to imperialistic war with the purpose of expanding enslavement, Thoreau refused to pay his taxes. And to his everlasting frustration, when he was jailed for his act of civil disobedience, exercising the higher authority of his conscience against the lower authority of an unjust law in our country, one of his relatives was so scandalized by the fact that they had a relative in jail, they went and paid off all his taxes, and he was sprung the next day. It's kind of pathetic. Thoreau knew it. His great act of heroic civil disobedience in the face of the monster of the United States had been undermined by an embarrassed relative. In a very short essay, less than 3 pages long, he spoke about why he did this and what it meant to do it, what his rationale was. We, as people living in this amazing existence, have a responsibility to act on behalf of every person. And where there are laws that would attack those people, we must resist. 100 years later, a young man went to school in Boston. He'd come from those states where enslavement had been legal and expanding. And there, in that fertile ground, which transcendentalism had caused so much trouble, Martin Luther King Jr. read this essay by Henry David Thoreau, Civil Disobedience. He said it so gripped him, he read it over and over and over again. That this strange little New Englander, coming out of a Puritan background, a dissenter even in the Unitarian ranks, had had the courage and the conscience to stand up to an unjust law, not only because he disagreed with it, but to call his nation to a higher law, a law of equality, a law of fairness, a law of justice. Dr. King was Baptist. We don't need to be confused about that. But when he was in New England, attending Boston University, he spent a lot of time going to Unitarian churches. because there was something that he found of value there. A theology of responsibility and action. He would say in his sermons, we talk about praying, and I want you to pray. Prayer is good. But prayer without action is nothing. You've got to act. That is straight out of the Unitarian tradition. He's deeply influenced by Thoreau. And in the best of this movement, he made an eclectic move, taking the power of this disobedience from the transcendentalists, this usurping of all authority to choose one's power to act on behalf of others. And he brought it together with the rich thought of Gandhi, the philosophy of nonviolence. And he paired it with the teachings of Jesus from his own Baptist background, to love our enemies, the hardest teaching of Christianity. And with his colleagues, not alone, but with a team of people who cared about this nation and themselves, create a philosophy of nonviolent resistance that changed our country. If you look at the front of your bulletin, you'll see a mugshot. People are getting a lot of use out of mugshots these days. You laugh like you know what I'm talking about. Some people even have other pictures of themselves taken that look like mugshots to emulate their own mugshots. I don't know who would do that. Some people, when they take their mugshots, they want to look tough. As if they were the authority. As if through toughness or violence or threats or whatever, it was a good choice in life to assert oneself over others. But that leads to wars of imperialism and the expansion of enslavement. It's a really bad philosophy. I want you to look at Dr. King's face in that mugshot. Now, he's serious. He's not backing down. He's tough. That is a man who is in love with every one of us. And not because he wants to be. He's pretty angry because people were being treated horribly. Cut out of jobs, not able to get good housing, no health care, killed if they spoke up. He himself got chased from town to town to town. Somebody finally took him out. Love wasn't a feeling, it was a choice. And here's the philosophy that is working in the mind of that man when that picture is taken. When there are laws that are unjust, that authority within us, not narcissism, not self over others, but self with others so that all may live. That authority must stand up to the false authority of an unjust law. And when you do it, you need to know there's going to be a consequence. This isn't about hiring a bunch of fancy lawyers and delaying judicial processes and engineering things so that there are no consequences. I don't know who would do that. This is about confronting with the authority inside of yourself the injustice that has established itself in the world and suffering the consequences that will come from that to show the whole world this injustice. calling out the injustice into public view through willingness to make it apparent in the light of day. This is courage. This is generosity. This is love. It's love, and it's love not only for self, hoping for a better life, or for those that we love, or for those most hurt by the injustice, those at the margins. It is love for all of those, and it is also love for the one who will bring that consequence to bear on you. For the one who will say to their dying breath, no, these are the right rules. Hierarchy and elitism, inequity, these are right. The person who means us no good at all, it is love for that person too. To call them into a better life, a fuller life. A life where they also realize they are part of this. Beautiful beyond words.
Please join us. Oh, hello. Hello. Okay, please join us on the Holy Heart of Things. It's in your order of service on the back of the next page. Sydney's going to play through it once before we sing. There's a never-ceasing power in the blooming of a flower. There's a magic in the moving of a mighty eagle's wing. There's an overwhelming wonder in the lightning and the thunder. There's a deep down hidden glory in the holy heart of things. There's a never-ending rapture that the human soul can capture, and you see it in the sunrise that the morning always brings. There's an overwhelming joy that no sadness can destroy when you feel the deep down glory in the holy heart of things. There's a force that's life renewing in whatever nature's doing. Deep inside this great creation, where the sacred fountain springs, there's a life that lives forever. When you find it, you will never lose the sense of deep down glory in the holy heart of things. There's an everlasting blessing every creature is expressing, and you hear it in the music that each little songbird sings. And if you will just surrender to the world in all its splendor, you will find the deep down glory in the holy heart of things.
Here are some more words. Dr. King, from that period after that bug shot. He wrote the letter from Birmingham jail. Sometimes the law, just on its face, and unjust in its application. For instance, I have been arrested on the charge of parading without a permit. Now, there's nothing wrong with having an ordinance which requires a permit for a parade. But such an ordinance becomes unjust when it is used to maintain segregation and deny citizens the First Amendment privileges of peace and assembly and protest. I hope you are able to see the distinction I'm trying to point out. In no sense do I advocate evading or defying the law, as would the rabid segregationist. That would lead to anarchy. One who breaks an unjust law must do so openly, lovingly, and with the willingness to accept the penalty. I submit that an individual who breaks the law that conscience tells him is unjust and who is willingly accepts the penalty of imprisonment in order to arouse the conscience of the community over the injustice is in reality expressing the highest respect for the law.
After the service today, we're going to have the experience of beloved community. Our hospitality team has created a beautiful spread for us in the next room. We invite you to go and enjoy all that these people have labored to produce for us. That concept of beloved community is a concept that comes from Dr. King and from other civil rights leaders to talk about the kind of world that we're trying to create. A place where everybody belongs and everybody's got enough and nobody has to be afraid. Somebody should write a purpose statement that says that. And you can taste that today. It is a taste of heaven, whether you believe in it or not. Come be a part of that wonder. And then after we have enjoyed being together, rather than a talk-back session today, we're going to have a consciousness dialogue from a group that has done a reading together all fall, a book called Inequity in America. It's a great day for us to talk about this book. And so if we can find a little corner that's quiet enough, we're going to have the conversation in there. And if not, we'll come back in here and have that dialogue at about 12:30. You're invited to all of this. Please come. And at 3 o'clock, a woman is going to stand up in our community. And she is going to talk about what it's like, not just to think these deep thoughts, but to incarnate them, to embody them, to live them for the love of self and others and even enemies. Follow in her footsteps.
We have spent time together, and these holy moments give us strength to go to